So, welcome again to Watershed, a ministry of the Pro-Cathedral of St. George Bastair with St. Barnabas. We continue to share the experiences of our members that have impacted their lives significantly, experiences that we hope will be a blessing to you, our viewers. Today with me I have Mrs. Doris Archibald-Webbe, and she is the president here at St. George of our ACWA group, which is the Anglican Church Women's Association. Sister Doris, welcome to Watershed.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you for accepting the invitation. Now, since your elevation to the presidency of ACWA, I think that happened back in February or so?
Yes.
Yes, but all of our church activities have been seriously curtailed because of COVID.
Yes.
So, yeah, I think you haven't been able to do much as yet, have you?
Not much as yet.
Yes.
Not much at all.
Okay. Well, I wish you every success in the role, and I hope you and ACWA, I know you have a bright future,
yes.
Whatever happens after COVID, and we know there will be an after COVID.
Yes, there will be.
Yes. Now, your experiences with your health began back in 2018 with a regular physical, your annual checkup. Please tell me about how that began.
Okay, yes, well, back in early 2018, I went in to do my annual physical checkup with my doctor. And when we did the blood work, we got, my white blood cells, which seems to be a bit high. And so she sent me to do some additional tests because we wanted to verify, as to what was going on.
Yes.
Those additional tests led me to go further abroad, which we end up in Barbados, where I had to see a hematologist there who suggested that I do a bone marrow.
Bone marrow biopsy?
Biopsy.
Okay.
So I had to do that so they can determine, because when we first find out the white blood cell is elevated, she monitored it, for a while. We looked at it for a couple months before.
Oh, before you were referred to Barbados.
Yes.
Okay.
So we monitored it, and I did follow-up checks, and it still remained high. And so, in discussion with another colleague of ours, that person recommended her that I see a specialist, who's a hematologist, and we don't have any local here in the island, so I was referred to a Dr. Nichols in Barbados. So I went off to see him, and he advised us that when I get there, it's best to do the bone marrow biopsy also.
Okay.
So he wanted to do that.
Yes.
So when I did that, the results came back that I have a possible lymphoma. Still was not too sure because the levels in the blood, they sent it off to Miami, and Miami suggested that we do a lymph node biopsy to get something more definite, because they still was not sure, because all the other levels seems to be normal, except that you just have elevated white blood cells. So I did the lymph node biopsy in St. Luke's. And we sent it off to the same lab in Miami because they requested, they wanted to look deeper.
Yes.
And from that result, they came back and I was diagnosed with what they would call an adult T-cell lymphoma. Now this is a non-Hodgkin lymphoma.
Non-Hodgkin's,
but that's what I was diagnosed with at that time. Now this was still maybe about, say, maybe 2018 by then. And I was still being monitored. So at the time, there was not a decision to start any treatment. So I was still, still have to follow up doing the blood work, see where the levels were, and determine what was going on.
But how were you feeling? Were you experiencing?
Normal.
Nothing out of the ordinary.
Nothing out of any ordinary.
But the T cells are central to your immune system, right?
Yes. And and I guess that's why it's showing up in your lymph node.
Yes.
As you know,
yes.
or your immune system.
Yes.
And for some strange reason, I didn't even have a cold.
Right.
Yeah. no sick,
No pains, no
extra
aches,
tiredness, nothing. I was moving around doing my own normal routine.
Yeah.
So up to going back to the doctor, running the checks, still nothing different in the way I was feeling.
Yeah. But the white blood cells
But the
remained
white blood
elevated.
cells remained elevated, and in some cases, a little bit elevated. And then they keep checking, and maybe coming, maybe like in the maybe last quarter of 2018, went back to see him, Dr. Nichols in Barbados, and then he said, based on what he's seeing, the elevation, we have what they call an LDH test. And he said, he think we should start treatment. He would advise that I would start treatment because they're not seeing the white blood cell being going down.
Yeah.
So it means
Something is causing them,
Yes.
And what was the recommended treatment?
And the recommended treatment then was that I would start chemotherapy. And he was suggesting back then to do what they would call like a lumbar treatment with
your spine?
Yes, a needle in my spine.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
And all that. Yeah. So I said, okay. So I digested the information and everything, and I reach out because I'm a person that I'm a positive thinking person.
Yes, thank God for that.
Yes. So I did not take the news lined up.
Right, and I'm sure you prayed about it
and all that. Right. I was like, okay, this is the next stage here for me, and I put everything in the Lord's hand, and I said, Lord, this is what's supposed to happen. You're gonna walk me through this. And I reach out to family, my family members, and we have family friends, and they suggested, get a second opinion, Right. So I end up, and I went to Miami, and I saw an oncologist there, and I took all the files and everything, and he wanted me to do what they would call a PET scan. Because that is something we don't do
much in the Caribbean. Yes.
No. And with the PET scan, he said that would determine to him how bad it is.
Right.
And before he would prescribe or advise some form of treatment. So I had to do that. And then coming back from the PET scan, he said, well, it's definitely the T-cell lymphoma. It is treatable, was the word that he told me.
Yeah.
He said it's treatable, once you start the treatment, and he advised me the form of treatment
right.
that, we'll go forward with.
Yeah.
So that now bringing me closer to the end of 2018. And it was still this discussion.
Yes.
Still didn't really start in 2018. And by the time we went around and we, have to run some additional tests, we did the PET scan, he got, the information that he wanted. He said, he was happy with, the result that he saw. Right. He did not agree to do the lumbar spine treatment because he said he did not think he was, like, it affected my brain because I was lucid in conversation. And collective. He himself was puzzled, like, how did you find this? How did you guys find this? Because nothing, he normally would see patients with this type of ailment more in the later stage. And I was not exhibiting any of the symptoms that would have picked it up. Right. So he was like, so I said, an elevated white blood cell. He was like, and your MD found that?
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yes.
Yes, and that's why it pays to do your annual checkups.
I can tell you.
Because you don't know what's going on in your body.
Yes.
Okay. And still at that stage, I'm still not ill, still not feeling sick, nothing happened. So I'm preparing myself now to go into treatment. Starting the treatment, the chemotherapy.
It was chemotherapy?
Yes. And I started it in January
of 2019. And this is an injected form?
It's an injected form where they go into your blood, your main blood vein, instead of, some similar to an IV, but instead of in my vein, they actually put a port inside right where it's into my artery here. So they just put in and it comes to the IV.
Straight through.
So it's similar to the IV, it's just not in my hand.
Yes.
Okay. And even putting in the port, I had to do the surgery there.
In Miami?
In Miami, because we don't do that here on the island either, to install the port. So I had to do that in Miami. And even that was the best I could experience. It was not what I expected, because I asked the surgeon if I have to go under the anesthesiologist. And he said, not if you don't want to. And I was like, oh. I said, well, I don't want to.
So you stayed away
and I stayed up and we laughed and we talked during this whole procedure. I was like, wow, it's not bad.
It wasn't too painful?
No, they numbed the area.
Yes, just the
and he said, you can just feel a little bee sting.
Yes.
And that was it. I mean,
and you watched it all happen?
Yeah, we were there, but I couldn't see all what I was doing. But, it was not uncomfortable. Right. So sometimes fear, and you have to pray about it. And you said, well, take away the fear, the doubt from you, because the fear of you thinking about this thing is this, oh, you have to go.
That's what would make you.
And I was like, really? I can't believe this was so simple.
Yes.
It was such a simple procedure that I couldn't comprehend it. I was, what? Because when he was like, I'm finished, I was like, what do you mean you're finished?
You're still waiting for it to happen.
And so they put that in, and for the first couple of months, I just couldn't move my hands around. I had to restrict, not that I couldn't do it, I had to restrict movement to make sure
you keep it in
and everything. But once that was in, going in for the treatment now, again, another comfortable, relaxing environment. You go in, it's not something that you lie in a hospital bed or anything. You sit in a recliner, you watch your TV,
reading if you want.
You read if you want to read, whatever and they just hook you up, and you sit there, they administer you. You'll be monitored by the nurses, because it's not a hospital, it's more like a clinic. The doctor has a key, and then they have what they would call the chemo bay. So the environment is not scary.
Right.
And this is something that sometimes people have to know that exists, because as soon as we hear the C word, chemotherapy,
so scared.
We think everything is
we're sure we head into the grave. Yes.
And no, you don't have to think about they're gonna die. We're gonna die eventually.
But not every little problem is dead.
Exactly.
So each time you went, then they put the medicine into the port.
Yes. So it's in an IV bag. So they hook the bag up and they just insert the needle into the port, and then it comes through your just body. It's in an IV bag, and it just comes through. And it's my treatment lasted like maybe an hour. Well, the first time about 2 hours, because they would slow down the drip until, because it was the first time, and they would monitor you, and once all was well, but the normal time, it was about an hour. And after it, I did not feel like tired, exhausted.
Nausea,
and I have to say thank God for that, because part of, what they did say that you could have nauseous feeling, extra tired, and the first dose of treatment was for the 6 months. And thanks to God, I had no adverse effects on that treatment. I mean, when I said no adverse effects, I went in, I traveled to Miami, I go into the clinic, so I spent 1 week, and I come home and I went to work.
Wow.
Okay,
just like that.
It was my normal routine. I come to church, if I'm out, I said I'm out, I'm traveling this week, I come back and it's back to my normal routine. I didn't feel anything weird, the doctors would question me, how are you feeling, and then we started down that road. And after the first dose, we did another PET scan, and he said, he can see, he didn't get developed. About 3 doses into the chemo, the white blood cells start dropping.
They start to drop.
Yeah.
Thank God.
I mean, drop. I was back I was back to normal about after 4 doses. White blood cells was back to normal.
Wonderful.
Okay, but when we had did the PET scan, one like in the groin area, they had seen like like a lump or something there. So he wanted to shrink that. So from that first treatment, when I did the PET scan, it did not shrink much. He said he had very little change. And so he decided he wanted to try another type of drug. A new one that just came on the market, very expensive. But he said, we tried to, because I had a group that was working with me also, who got me in to see these doctors and everything. They help you, with situation like people from the islands who don't have the insurance.
The financial, right.
So they help you to get some financial aid where they can get the medication for you, but you have to, still pay for the admin costs of administering to it and stuff like that.
This is the group Hope.
Hope.
Yes.
The name of it is Hope.
Yes.
And it's helping our people everywhere.
Yes.
So, and they're real, they really are out there helping a lot of people.
Another God
once
sent
you reach out to them. And
yes.
they're like I told the 2 ladies that is in my group, I said it's like they're my 2 little angels.
Yes, that's right. You bet they were.
Yeah, they are 2 little angels.
By God.
Because, and I got into them through a family friend. So it's like, I keep saying, sometimes we don't understand what's going on in our life with certain things, but sometimes we go through something else to get us to where we are. Because prior to that, I got involved with this other lady who connected me with these people to my dad. I lost my dad 7 years ago to prostate cancer. And during his struggle with the prostate cancer, that's where I met this lady.
You got to know this lady.
Yeah, and from there, when I told her what was going on with me, and she was like, no, you have to go and see these people. I'm going to send you their number. Talk with them. If you do anything, go there, get your And I said, okay, I'm going to do that.
It's so good to share, eh?
Yeah.
Instead of keeping it all to yourself and getting
because sometimes if you didn't go out and speak about what you're going through,
nobody would know. And nobody could help you.
Yes.
Right.
So sometimes we can't think about that, okay, I'm diagnosed with this thing, and I don't want anybody into my business. And whatever, and you keep it inside, and at the same time, you don't know what's out there.
Exactly.
So you have to share it, and you get that stuff.
Yes.
And luckily, and I said, during having to deal with my dad with the prostate cancer and everything, maybe that was my own learning stage for what I was going to be experiencing for myself.
That's very true.
Because experiencing it for myself, I can't recall I had a scared, moment where I was like, oh, I'm gonna die. I just can't recall it. Everything for me was like, okay, what's next? Maybe because I was there with him. And years prior to that, my grandmother, she was the one who really raised me, and we lost her to colon cancer. And I was really involved dealing with her in her end stages. So maybe all that made me immune to the fear of it,
When God is setting the path, we never know. We never know until we walk the road.
And I just reflect about it, and I was like, okay, maybe that's why I was there. Sometimes I was questioning, why did they call one or the other? And now I realize it had to be me.
Yes.
Okay,
because to prepare you.
To prepare me. Because like I said, most people, because even when Dr. Nichols gave me the news in Barbados, and he was looking at me, and I was like, not why you're looking at me, he was like, you're taking the news well.
Made you wonder what he was accustomed to seeing,
right? So I was like, I said, well, if I cry you a mountain, would I get better?
Well,
what's that gonna help? And it was like, the fact that you could joke about it, I said, because guess what? This is what we have to do. So all we can do is deal with it. So, and maybe like I said, maybe my journey from the other experiences brought me to here, where I could have dealt with it in this manner. Maybe if I didn't go through that, I might have handled it differently.
Yes, very true.
And so I have to say, thank God that even though I didn't understand it back then, I was the one chosen to
help
give it
grandmother
my
and
grandmother
dad.
and my dad to go through this experience because now I'm better equipped for dealing with it from my personal self. So I have to
in a
thank
calm,
God for that.
in a calm manner.
Yes, because it's calm, you know. And I am still not well, but human beings say out of the woods.
Right.
I feel God already healed me. I'm following the doctor and have to go back and do another PET scan because from after going on the new treatment, I mean everything like the lump, everything just disappeared.
And
the blood work
and the white blood cells are in a normal range.
It maintained. It never went back up. It never, even from the first treatment. Like I said, it went back to normal. So and it remained normal. And I had my last treatment in March this year.
So tell me, you had the first one around January 2019, which lasted you like 6 months, you said? And then how frequently
I started the other one. How frequently?
You had monthly.
Yes.
So you had to fly up to Miami every month?
Yes.
For a few days?
Yes. I thank God I was able to do that.
Yes. How did it affect your job though? Your employers were
very, very good. Very good people to me, and I mean, it didn't affect it because of the type of work that I do too. I could work wherever I go.
Remotely?
Yes, I could work remotely. So I always travel with my computer. And because, like I said, I was not physically ill. At no point in time I felt extra tired that I can't do anything. So I had my work. You know, and these are things that help to get you through instead of just sitting down and
mulling over your illness.
No, I was able to occupy myself. You know, so other than physically not being at the job for that 1 week, that was it.
Everything still worked.
Everything worked. You know, and they would call me and I call him and all that. So it communicated. It's just that I was not in the building, but they had access to me. And it was business as usual. You know, and
so much to thank God for.
Thank God.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So after your last treatment then in March of this year, that has been your last intravenous?
Yes, the last treatment, and then I got caught outside.
Yes, I remember hearing about that. You were stuck in Florida of all places, which was a COVID hotspot at the time. Oh my God, how did that affect you? How did you feel knowing that you were on the road to recovery and you were now stuck in Florida in the midst, because our borders closed, right? So you were stuck there.
Yes, because the borders closed
March.
A day before I was supposed to fly out. That's how close it was. I was, oh my God, I can't believe that. And then I said, you know what? Get the negative out of your head. You're here. And when I'm there, I stay with family. It's a cousin. And it's not like I was uncomfortable.
Right. All alone in an apartment.
No, I'm not all alone.
Wonderful.
You know, it's they're around me. And I still worked. So I was still in tune with my workplace. I was still in tune with my family at home. Thank God to WhatsApp.
Yes. Oh my God. Thank God.
WhatsApp, you know, you can still make your calls.
Even video calls and see each other.
So they could have seen me. At one point in time, they think, well, I wonder how she barely do it. And they would call me video and they said, this is me.
It was wonderful.
So, you know, it didn't, you know, it was a bit uncomfortable first, and then you get a little bit disappointed every time you thought, okay, maybe you're going home this time, you know, and then the months roll on, and I said, you know what, I'm not bothering about it.
That was another test, eh?
Yeah, I was not going anywhere. You know, I stayed home. You know, we go out, you know, if I absolutely have to go to the drugstore or somewhere, you know, and I make sure I follow
have your mask, all the precautions, of course.
Following the mask.
Because you were in a sensitive state, you know, you had to be careful.
And my cousin, they have a business there, and she was going out, and she herself was being extra careful when she come home, because she was like, I don't want to bring it home because you're not going anywhere, and I'm going to feel bad. You know, so everybody was like, extra piece of cues, you know, and it was good, because I mean, I was not, you know, I got into the routine after a while here. I said, you know what, I'm here, make the best of it. I went to an
That's a wonderful attitude you have.
Yeah, because where she's living is very close to a little exercise walk track.
Okay.
So I used to go down, I go when the sun is hot.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm going to walk when the sun is hot.
Yes.
COVID won't be able to be alive there.
It can't catch you there.
No, and I did that. I mean, I helped me lose some weight. It was good. It was really, really good.
Yeah.
And I got home. I was not able to come home until July.
It's July.
Yeah, from March until July. But you see, God is good because I had to do another scan in May. So I would have to fly
you would
up
have had to fly back up.
So I was able to do that.
Right there.
And the result from that scan, because since I've been on the treatment, I had the scan, the result from the lump there, it disappeared after 4 treatments. And he was going to give me about 6 to 8, he said about 6 to 8 treatment. I end up with 5 of it. He actually cut it
Reduced
short.
them.
He reduced it because I started feeling a little bit of a neuropathy, numbness in my
your fingers,
digits and my toes. And he said, okay, since you're feeling that, and the result is coming back,
are good.
I can cut it, but they would monitor
you.
Yes. So I did a scan in May, and that was good again. Before I came down, and then since I've been here, I went back and did my blood work.
Yes, everything is still good. Because since you came home, of course, you had to go into quarantine as well, like everyone else.
Yes.
But it was good to be home.
Yes.
Yeah.
14 days quarantine. It was good to be home. And even the 14, it was not a big bother to me. You just have to do what you have to do.
Your positive attitude is to see you
if you keep on complaining about something, it's going to bother you. And it's going to eventually affect you in a negative way. You have to just accept it. You have to do the quarantine. Accept you have to do quarantine, and you're going to get over it. And I had to do the 14 days, and then I got home after the 14 days.
Excellent.
Went back to the work. Everything. I'm being like a little busy since I'm back. I have to start slowing down.
Yes, you must still remember to take care. So would you ever have to, the long-term outlook, you will keep doing your blood tests here at home, and maybe when things ease up with travel, would you ever have to go back to Miami?
I have to do more scans there too. Like another scan is scheduled for November. Okay, but based on we monitoring, how the border and everything is going on. So probably going to do another blood work again and look at that to see whether or not we could push that scan a little bit further, just until things
maybe into the new year
stabilize a little bit. But they would more of the surveillance check stage where we just do follow up and check to make sense. But still, I'm feeling wonderful. Still not any still the no drugs, no adverse effect other than the little numbness, which I can't complain about in comparison to the bigger picture.
That's right.
But that's all that I've been that I could say that I can complain and say I have an adverse would be the neuropathy. Nothing else. I'm still able to do my normal duties, go on with my normal life. So you just have to thank God. And once you put your faith
and your trust,
and trust in Him, because every time I go through the treatment, I say, God, just let the medicine do what it's supposed to do and nothing else.
That's right.
And that was always my prayer. Let it do what it's supposed to do and nothing else.
Because that's a great fear with chemotherapy, isn't it? That it not only destroys the bad cells, but it breaks down so much of the good.
Exactly. It has to take care of it. And I would say, Lord, let it do what it's supposed to do and nothing else.
And it's amazing. So many people suffer so much from the chemotherapy, the nausea and all those bad feelings.
But I know
it's great that you had none of that.
A lot of it too, sometimes I think is fear. I think fear controls us a lot. Because if you're going into something fearful, that all these things is going to happen to me, it's going to happen to you.
You add to the problem that you originally have.
Yes. Because if you just tell yourself, listen, I'm open to whatever, and you pray and you say, this is the faith, you put it in the man who can do something about it, because we can't do nothing about it. You have no control over it. And we spend so much time frustrating ourselves about something that we have no control over. So you have to just give up the control and leave it there. You can't give it up and take it away all the time.
Exactly.
You put it there, but you You know, and he says,
let
no
go
fear,
and let God.
let go.
It's a
You
true
have to
saying.
let go.
Yeah.
You know, and you just have to say, if you feel like you put your trust there, then why are you fearing? You're supposed not to have any fear. He said, no fear, because you already put it there. And you will take care of it.
Leave it at the foot of the cross.
Leave it at the foot of the cross. And you can't go back and take it.
And take a piece of
when
your
you feel
faith.
like it's not happening the way you
Fast
want it to
enough.
happen.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you just have to do that.
Yeah.
And so I think that if people would accept whatever it is you may be going through, you first have to say, okay, this is it, I have to accept it, and what's the next step forward?
That's right.
You know, and you have to always be thinking positive, because if you don't, just the negative thinking alone is going to wear you down.
Yes.
It's going to wear, the fear is going to creep in. And once the fear is there, the hope is gone.
Yes.
You're doomed.
You're lost.
Yeah. You know, and we have to understand that.
And how about your diet, or has anything changed for you in terms of?
Not much. And I would advise people, because especially when you're going through chemotherapy, you know, everybody's going to tell you, don't eat that, you know, but chemotherapy knocks you down, you know, it knocks down your body, so you need to feel it.
Stay strong, yes.
You can't go on any special diet, especially when you're taking this thing.
Yes.
You need all the strength that you can get.
All the minerals and vitamins.
All of everything that you can get an extra.
Yes.
So
keep the body able to handle it.
You need to keep your body there to deal with it. You know, I personally, like, personal preference, like I try to cut out like sugars, you know, and I love sugar. You know, I love
sweet tooth.
I have a sweet tooth, so I was fighting with that. No, I can't drink my tea without sugar. I'm gonna die if I don't have sugar. All these things can change, you know. And today, and you know, maybe like a month ago, I was drinking some of my bush tea because I love bush tea. I was like, and I laughed and I was like, look at me. I thought I was going to die if I don't have sugar. And I was enjoying it.
I'm sure if you put back sugar now, it will taste strange.
You know,
because you've got
I love it. I had a sweet tooth, but I just say, you know what? Because of my experience and all the data that I gathered and understanding, cancer loves sugar.
Yes, it feeds on.
So I said, if you love sugar, then I don't
love
sugar.
You have to start with those cancer cells.
And if you're going to start it, you can't put it in. Right. So you have to balance. Doesn't mean every now and again you're not going to have a little something.
Small.
But you just have to change that. But I did that like after my treatment of mine. During my treatment, the way I was
you fed your body.
I did not do anything weird, because I do believe maybe if I had cut out the sugar and taken the chemo, it might have just make other issues. Might have complicated you, might have caused my sugar to drop too low. So I did not mess with my diet really until after my treatment was over. Then I said, you know, I wouldn't do that. I tried to eat a little bit different here. But the doctor did not give me a diet plan.
Right.
There was no specific diet plan that he said, you have to cut out that, you must do that.
Right.
You know? So I just eat moderate.
So do you have any understanding of if you hadn't caught this early, caught it in your routine checks, do you have any idea of what would have been the symptoms if it had gotten to increase the lymphoma?
What they were saying, some of it would have been your memory, because it would have been affecting your memory. You would have gotten, because it's your immune system, would have been under attack. I guess common colds would
easily
have been elevated into other stuff, you know, and tiredness, because they was asking me about if I was feeling tired, you know, headaches. These were some of the stuff that they was looking for. But like I said, I never had any.
And those T cells derive partly from your bone marrow as well,
which
is why they did it in bone marrow biopsy.
That's the reason why he went after the bone marrow to determine it, because you see the blood work, even though the white blood cell was elevated, and the other reading in the other stuff for the blood was basically normal, and some of them was like real good. So
it was just that one thing.
I have to say thank God for the doctors for going the other step, because I think some doctors might have just said, well, you know, it probably some bad infection, her body is fighting off.
True.
You know,
so the cells are elevated to fight.
Exactly. Because nothing else was changing.
Right.
Nothing else, you know, everything is fleet to normal except coming down the latter part, you then saw the LDH, climb a little bit, and you said, okay, time to start treatment. Because, like I said, I think we monitored for almost 6 months without doing anything.
Before,
you know? Because we were looking to see, well, maybe eventually the body will fight whatever infection you will behave in, it will go back to normal. You know? And we tried to figure out, okay, where did it come from? Was it something that we eat? Was it something
genetic?
Genetic? Basically, what Dr. Nichols told me, it would be something that probably I would have gotten from my mother. Even though we tested her for it, and she did not show it. You see what he said? That's the only way sometimes you get it like at childbirth and the breastfeeding or something.
It stays latent for a long time.
It would have been something that was in my system. But he said the weird thing is that you would have, because you had this thing that they call like HDL1, you could have that and it still doesn't mature into the lymphoma. So they still don't know why some people end up with the lymphoma and why some people don't. You know, it's still unknown.
A mystery. So much in medicine is,
you know? And these type of blood cancers is so much, you know, some of them are so beautiful.
They're quite rare. So and each one acts different to the other.
And the treatment level, you know, it varies because you got your T cells, you got B cells. It's a whole barrage.
The body's amazing,
you know, but it makes you. But for me, I learn a lot about it because it causes you to read so you can understand. Because when you get to the doctors and they're talking to you, and sometimes you're lost, so you can ask some of the big questions that you don't even know you're supposed to ask. So I mean, sometimes I would just tell the doctor, tell me what it is that I need to know, because I don't know. I wouldn't know that I need to know, but I need to know it. You know, because, and I would just say, just tell me, so that I could know how, you know, to prepare myself for it. And that's the best thing we can do, because you don't know. And until you go through it, you just don't know.
You don't know. And it's a true saying that you don't know what you don't know.
No.
You know, you just can't.
They can't. So the best thing you just said is, tell me what I need to know. Because they would know more of it than we do. So I would just say, tell me what I need to know. I'm not scared. Tell me what I need to know. You know, and once you open up that door, then I think they get more comfortable
to share.
And they share information with you. You know?
And you know, in these days, a lot of persons are like putting off their doctor checkups. They're afraid of COVID. They don't want to go. What advice would you give someone? Because I mean, you caught this just on your routine check, which was amazing. So what advice would you have for others?
I would advise everyone, go do your routine checks. COVID and your COVID. Go and do your routine checks, because trust me, you don't know what's going on with your body. And the early you detect anything, it doesn't matter what the ailment is. Early detection is always the best. And that is the only thing that would save life. Because if something is going on with you and you keep on ignoring it, and guess what? It's going to continue going on with you. And then by the time you run into the doctor, it's too late. And then you get mad, and you're mad with the doctor, and you're upset with the world, but you had your own symptoms and you did not know. So I would advise anybody, go for your checkups. COVID, follow the safety rules where COVID is concerned. You go outside, put on the mask, use your hand sanitizer. When you get back to your house, wash up properly. Follow the COVID rules. If you follow the COVID rule, you don't have anything to be scared over. But I would advise you, go for your annual checkups.
Thank you very much. And from listening to you, I can see God's hand in so many things that happened to you throughout this whole experience. Highlight 2 of them for me, of your own.
Of mine. Where I could see. I would say one of them would have been when I had to go in for one of the scans. When I had to go in for one of the
first one?
For that particular morning, I don't know. It's like I was just feeling scared. All sort of stuff was going to my head. I don't know what was going on. And I said, And I remember sitting there, you know, in the chair and everything. And I remember, and I said, Lord, I don't know what's really going on with me. So remove all this fear and everything, because I was cold and I was trembling. I just couldn't get my body to sit still. The place was cold. And for whatever reason, I just couldn't get my body to relax. And I remember saying that little prayer, because to do the PET scan, they would inject you with a little bit of very basic sugar water, sugar liquid. They put it in your vein and you sit for 45 minutes before they do the scan.
And the scan is like almost like an MRI machine, your whole body through a machine?
Something like the normal scan machine. Right. But what that does, because they've already injected that liquid, the sugar inside, the cells there they would look for areas where you have enlarged cells. And once they see enlarged cells, it means that cancer expresses in that area. That's all they want to know.
Further check.
Yes, so that's why you would sit for that 45 minutes. And I'm sitting in that room, and I don't know. I just don't know what's going on. And I said, Lord, no. I said, take all this thing away from me. And then I remember when they come and they get me. And that day was, they just had a terrible day too. Like, I had to wait extra long that day. It was like 2 hours. And I remember the gentleman, you know, the technician, when I went in, and he was like, thank you so much for your patience. And he said, God help patient people. Because I remember him telling me these words, you know. Right?
There you go. God in the midst of everything.
Yes, it's like, because I'm there and he was like, you know, he took the bag and he said, no, just relax. And he said, thank you. Because a lot of pain, they was angry. Because it's not normal. You know, America, they don't wait. You know, and it was not normal. But he said to me, for some strange reason, they had to keep on doing over this scan. They couldn't get stuff being good, so they had to keep on repeating it for some of the people. And he said, you're going to be okay, because the God help patient people. And he just said those words to me. I mean, then I went to that. Would you believe that I went to that scan thing and I fell asleep? I fell asleep. I was calm. And I was like, okay. You know, and when I went back and I get the result, and I remember the doctor was like, remarkable. Remarkable. Wow. I didn't expect to see these results this soon. Then I remember him saying that, and these words with the technician saying, he said, don't worry about anything, because God helps patient people. Because he was like, you sit there, you didn't argue.
You can imagine what he faced from some of the others.
That, you know, and I was like, wow. And so I definitely know that God was definitely there. You know, he was definitely right there in the midst. And I think it was another time when I was traveling to come home on one of my trips. And I just, for some reason, I wasn't feeling well. You know, my head, I just wasn't feeling well. You know, and I was wondering, is this someone of the side effect? I'm on the plane and I'm comfortable. And I just sat down there and I was like, God, I don't know what's going on, but you need to fix it. Because this is not me. I don't feel like I know myself. You need to fix it. You know? And then I'm sitting down there. I don't know. Like, I think he knocked me out to fix it, because I don't.
You went sleep?
Yes, and I don't normally. I don't sleep. And then I, you know, when I'm back to, and I'm like, I relax and I feel good. And I'm like, okay. You know.
Just put it in his hands and he answers.
You know, so some of the time you're absent-minded about it, and then you realize, well, okay, all you have to do was just say,
just let it go.
Let it go.
Right.
Deal with it for me. I guess the enemy was just on the attack. You know, because I couldn't comprehend it. You know, you can't put your finger on it. What was it that making you feel disgusting? But you just
know that you're weren't yourself.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, no. You know, and I could tell. And that's why I would say, you just have to have faith and you have to trust. If you don't do that, and you cannot have faith, you cannot trust and take it back. You have to say, if you said, this is it, and you said, take it,
believe it.
You need to leave it with you. You cannot take it back.
Because if you don't, you just make a bad situation worse.
Yes.
Well, as we close, any final words for our viewers? Any last bits of advice?
Well, only advice I would tell anyone who will be going through something similar to me or different, or cancer,
Yeah.
because this is Cancer Month also.
Yeah.
As we are celebrating
That's right.
the breast cancer
Awareness. Yeah.
awareness. And I would advise anyone out there, whenever you hear the word cancer, don't think about it as the death sentence, and don't let fear take you over, because there are lots of medication and new different techniques and everything. Every day these people are coming up with all sorts of different ways and means of treating all the different type of cancer. So we no longer have to let fear take us over, because if you let fear take you over, that's what comes. If you think you're gonna die, you're gonna die. Because that's what you do. Okay, you let your mind say this is it, and you give up and you're gonna die. You have to be a fighter, and you have to talk about it. Because if you don't talk about it, you're not gonna know what is out there, people. Because if I didn't reach out and say this is what I'm going through, I would have never ended up in Miami. So my advice would be, talk about it. Don't be afraid to talk about it. Sickness is not something that we need to be ashamed of.
That's right. It comes to all of us.
Because it doesn't pick, it doesn't choose. It doesn't matter how much money we have or how poor we are.
Right.
It just happens.
Yes.
And if we are willing to open and have discussion with each other about it, we will frighten to see how much we can help each other. Because God made us that we need each other.
That's right.
To survive.
Yep.
So we can't just think about that I'm going to lock myself away in my own little room and I'm going to die.
Hide my
Because
problems.
you're going to die.
Yeah.
Because that's what's going to happen to you. If you choose to die, that's what's going to happen to you. So you have to understand, I'm going to try to reach out to someone. And I know sometimes my advice to the people also who are not in. Sometimes when someone comes to you and they say this is what they're going through, sometimes we have to think about what we say to them. Because me personally, I'm just positive minded person. It doesn't bother me the way it bothers someone else. But I know for some people, when I said this is what I'm going through, I'm hearing, oh, I know someone who died from it. Tell me someone who lived
from it.
So something innocent. Sometimes when people reach out to us about these ailments, and we know cancer, and we know what cancer does. And you know, we have to be mindful that we are going to die sometime or the other with something. But it's not a nice thing sometimes to tell someone, oh, God, that's what you have. I know someone who died. You know, if that's what you have to say, then just keep quiet. Be quiet.
That's right.
I think just be mindful of that, because sometimes saying that, you only knock down that person even more. So I think sometimes we have to be mindful what we say to people when they bring, when they try to share us. Because that, I think that is one of the reasons why sometimes people don't like to share. Because they are afraid to get negative. You know, oh, well, you want to spend all that money with chemo. Girl, just go say your prayers and die. You know, these are things we need to be mindful of. If that's what the person wants to do, just encourage them. Encourage them with what they want to do. And make them feel like you're there to give them whatever support. For me, I have a family. My family is huge, so I had strong support from my family. I had strong support from friends. I had strong support from church friends also, who I share information with, and prayers. And people will pray for you, and you can't have too much prayer.
That's right.
You understand? You don't need to be sick to get prayer. So that is why it's good to share. So I would advise people, speak about it. And the people who don't have it, know what you're saying. And if you don't have anything to say in the positive, just be quiet and just be a listening ear for them. You don't have to say anything. Because sometimes when people share it, they're not looking for something. Sometimes they just want to say something and someone and listen to them. So if you don't have something positive, just listen. Okay?
Well, Sister Doris, thank you so much. Thank you for being so open and so honest about everything that you've gone through. Thank you for sharing with our viewers today, because your positive attitude, your trust and your faith in God has brought you this far. And I'm sure it's going to touch somebody out there who is seeing this. And yes, and they will be able to know that whatever the diagnosis, it's not the end.
No, it's not.
Just trust in God, lean on Him, have faith. As you say, let go and leave it to Him, and He will see them through. We really appreciate your being with us today. It has been a wonderful experience hearing about your experiences, and we really do hope it has touched the heart of at least one of our viewers today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Family, thank you so much for being with us once again here on Watershed. And until we come your way again, take care.